been into a shrink even once? And it'd say, oh, come on, what do I need with that? 3 years now.
It's funny how they get you, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, it starts off one way and ends up, you leave there sometime real, okay, see you next week.
Across the country, Tara Mergener reports on what's in these books and why the controversy surrounding them. Parents first started packing school board meetings hoping to reopen schools. Now the focus is on what they call explicit books. Child experts are also weighing in, saying graphic images and mature subject matter harms young minds.
Imagine your 11-year-old child or grandchild reading this.
A familiar school board scene playing out across the country.
So not only do you have to be talented, long-lasting, multiple, but you have to be okay, a sexy 18-year-old.
An uncomfortable crowd cringing.
Do you think you have to? People.
Wait, this is in our schools. Our kids are reading this, and you're going to tell me I can't read it to you because it's inappropriate?
It's being broadcast.
Everybody.
As steamy excerpts are read aloud from books now available in public schools.
Teenage girl getting raped. And this is available for 11-year-olds.
Parents accusing educators of exposing their children to X-rated material.
Protect our children or get out of the way.
I think it's been...
It actually begins to wear out the pleasure centers in their brain, and it leaves them more vulnerable to addiction and depression.
Among other concerns, the children who view abusive and misogynistic acts will see them as normal and acceptable.
It begins to shape their experience and perception of what it means to be in relationship with someone else. And then it opens up experiences with things that maybe they would have never been exposed to.
It was a shot that went wild.
In Buckhead, Atlanta police say a person shooting at a car missed and hit a busy store Tuesday afternoon.
Citizens of Zone 2 stopped police and told them that they saw an individual shooting a gun at a black car. He fired 2 shots at another vehicle, and one of those bullets struck the support store.
Zone 2 Commander Major Alan Mitchell says his officers who were conducting roll call at the time instantly switched gears at the sound of gunfire.
We heard some shots fired, so officers immediately ran to the direction where they heard the shots. Some officers were on foot running, others hopped into vehicles and came over here to the area.
Police say the suspect took off on foot, but they eventually found the suspect in a residential area.
No person was injured. Thanks to the quick work of the officers responding quickly, we were able to take him into custody.
Police are still looking for the weapon involved. The man arrested, whose name has not been released, is expected to be charged with aggravated assault and reckless conduct. Joy Dukes, Fox 5 News.
Visibly emotional as he talked about one of the victims, 9-year-old Maite Rodriguez. McConaughey's wife held Maite's green Converses, which he says is how the little girl's body was identified.
And our hope is that we come out of this, especially for our children, can we come out of this valuing our own life and valuing life more than we did before.
The actor met with lawmakers on Capitol Hill as the Senate tries to reach a deal on a modest gun bill.
On the right, there are some things that they're willing to not staunchly say no to and consider. That on the left, they're willing to say, you know what, we may want the whole loaf, but we'll take a slice of bread.
A ban on AR-15s appears to be off the table, with Republicans focusing on other key issues.
We're hoping to actually get an outcome that'll make a difference in the areas of mental health, school safety, and things that are related to the incidents that occurred in Texas and in Buffalo.
But Democrats say they're willing to give in just to get something done.
Every day we get closer to an agreement, not further away.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he supports the talks, but adds Democrats will continue to push for more expansive gun safety legislation in the future, including measures for universal background checks and a ban on assault weapons. In Washington, Mather Rivera.
A compensation proposal. Well, he says with only 2% being on the table, he's not going to be able to keep all those promises to the officers and they may leave. Their jobs are as or more demanding than all of the other law enforcement agencies in the metropolitan Atlanta area. But APD's compensation does not measure up to the market.
You know, we proposed a 12% raise, which also included a 2.5% COLA, which, you know, hasn't been in the city structure for years. The 2% was just extremely disheartening.
It was a request, not a demand, made in May at Atlanta City Hall. But Lieutenant Knapp coupled it with a warning that other agencies are snapping up Atlanta officers. A chief in Kentucky, Erica Shields, is even trying to pluck police officers from the department she used to lead. APD veterans can find huge...
Well, Mayor Dickinson wants to spend $2 million on daycare centers. But the city council won't give our public safety officers a 2.5% cost of living increase. Guess what? Those kids in those daycare centers, they need to be protected too.
Experienced swimmer, if you're going in any large body or any open water, you need to wear a life vest.
DNR even has a life vest station at the edge of the water for anyone who needs to borrow one. Searchers stayed here until dusk looking for the man, but there was no sign of him. In Cobb County, Denise Dillon, Fox 5 News.
And released a bundle of chaff containing small pieces of aluminum. That debris was then ingested into the Australian aircraft's engine. Marles told ABC television, saying quite obviously this is very dangerous. China lays territory claims to almost all of the South China Sea, but according to a United Nations convention, the zone is considered part of international waters, and states can't lawfully control it for security purposes. Beijing is demanding that an Israel-based news outlet remove an interview with a Taiwanese official, and is threatening to downgrade diplomatic ties with Israel if the media doesn't comply. Last week, the Jerusalem Post published an interview with Taiwan's Foreign Minister Joseph Wu. In it, Wu advised other countries to be very careful when doing business with China. Yakov Katz, the editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post, said that shortly after the publication of the interview, he received a phone call from the Chinese embassy. He was told to take down the story or China will sever ties with the Jerusalem Post and downgrade relations with the state of Israel. But Katz said the story, quote, ain't going anywhere. The U.S. is Israel's closest ally, but Israel has a close economic relationship to China, one of its largest trading partners.
Either Ukraine or Russia backing down. I'm Trey Yingst in Kyiv. I've got the details coming up. Key strategic city in the east. They're sending in thousands of reinforcements and ramping up airstrikes, but the Ukrainians aren't backing down, and neither side has been able to gain full control of the city. Officials here acknowledging there won't be a quick victory in the east.
We don't expect that the war will be over within the next few weeks or months. Unfortunately, that's a long process.
Meanwhile, in southern Ukraine, the Russians are still blocking millions of tons of wheat and grain from being exported. Some NATO allies are now suggesting a military escort to get the food out, prompting Russia to suggest exports could start immediately from ports controlled by Moscow.
More and more in the West are talking about simply forcing that solution of escorting grain tankers in and out, much like we escorted oil tankers in and out of the Arabian Gulf in the 1980s when the Iranians tried to close the Strait of Hormuz. Putin is listening to that.
But one of Ukraine's biggest ports, Mariupol, still under Russian control, is dealing with a possible new crisis. Health officials reporting a cholera outbreak, with drinking water becoming contaminated by decomposing.
One other thing. Vote with common sense from your heart and your wallet.
Surveillance video shows the boy waiting in line at the register, and then when it was his turn, he points a gun at the cashier, firing a shot into the ceiling. The cashier handed over a bag of money. Police say he was arrested not far from that scene. Police say the 12-year-old took the gun from his father's locked gun safe.
A fourth COVID vaccine
walked out of the airport. Fox 5's Morris Diggs takes a look at how police tried to enforce the law at the checkpoint.
This is the main checkpoint. Authorities confirmed that this traveler came through lane number 1. The bag with the loaded weapon was detected, pulled away. The flow of passengers logging carry-on items is at times non-stop at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. During a busy Sunday afternoon, the authorities confirm a traveler went through screening at 3:10 p.m., lane 1. A screener withheld a bag inside a loaded handgun.
That's startling and frightening.
What Councilman Michael Bond reacted to is the fact that this traveler, apparently realizing it was taking too long for his bag to be returned, simply left the airport before an Atlanta officer could come up and start asking questions.
If his intentions were good, he'd have no reason to leave, right?
Due to a change in state law, the police enforcement powers have been reduced, even in a case such as what happened Sunday.
The city officers have been told they cannot forcibly detain.
It must be addressed. No, you can't make the assumption that it's going to be okay, that every person that owns a gun is a responsible gun owner and that they have good intentions.
Atlanta police ran the discarded weapon. No hits on that. It came back clean. It was not stolen. They still have some questions, though, about this traveler and his behavior. From Hartsfield-Jackson, I'm Morris Diggs, Fox 5 News.
Murder.
Well, take a look at this video. We first told you about this massive apartment complex fire in Clayton County last week. Dozens of people are homeless, including many small elementary school-aged children. As News Edge reporter Alex Whitler tells us, an unexpected community leader is stepping in to help.
The academic year ended 3 weeks ago, but that doesn't stop the West Clayton school community from keeping in touch. A teacher told Principal Dr. Edward Williams about that devastating fire at the Ashford at Stone Ridge Apartments as it was happening. Williams says he immediately started making calls.
That's what we're supposed to do. I mean, this is a family-oriented building. Everybody will tell you that comes this way. We lean on each other. We love on each other. So I wouldn't call it unique. I call it, as a principal, that's what we're charged to do.
In less than 4 hours, dozens of students went from living less than 5 minutes away from their school to homeless. Dry fire hydrants allowed the fire to spread longer and larger than expected.
We lost everything that you can imagine. Nothing. We went with our clothes. When I pick my kids, they don't have shoes in their feet.
Abdul El Sayed has 4 children ages 2 to 10. 3 of them attend West Clayton Elementary School. The family of 6 is all spread out now. He's staying with a friend in College Park, the others with another friend in Marietta. He took time out of running errands Tuesday to Zoom with us about how overwhelming the situation is.
If I'm by myself, I will take care of it. I'm not worried about it for myself, but I'm worried about my kids. About my wife and my kids.
Not even a week later, Dr. Williams has helped raise nearly $2,000 to help those displaced students and their families. He hopes to raise another $3,000 or more. Despite losing everything, El Sayed says he and his family are humbled by the community's quick action to help keep them afloat.
Even the neighbors, we really appreciate them, the neighbors and all people that are around that area. And my kids' teachers also, they show up next day. And my wife, teacher from the college. I really appreciate them. And
a 12-year-old boy robs convenience store with a weapon he took from his daddy's locked gun cabinet, and an idiot takes a gun to the airport with him and then leaves. Doesn't talk to anybody. Nothing, just leaves. What's up with that?
Between Marietta and Roswell, going up to Milton right there under that. Down south, you're not left out either. Hartsfield-Jackson, you're now drying out. They didn't have a ground stop. I was watching planes take off.
Getting some rain. Heard some lightning. Thunder. A little bit of a light show down there to the east. Come on, a little bit more. I hear it. I just don't see it. Ah, there we go.